Britain, 1961. In the cities, the chimneys are still smoking, the factories are still running. Millions of people are living cheek by jowl in terraced streets and tower blocks, in noise and concrete and coal dust. But just beyond the edge of the city, sometimes closer than you'd think, there is this: the national parks of Britain. 10 of them by 1961. A woman walks out of a youth hostel somewhere in the Scottish Highlands. The hills rise green and enormous beyond the trees. The youth hostel network was everything in 1961. For young people without money, it was the only way in. A bed, a basic meal, a common room, and outside the door, a mountain. Two cyclists stop at a gate somewhere in Snowdonia, checking their map. The valley stretches out below them, impossibly green. Cycling was how millions of people first discovered the countryside. No car needed, no money needed beyond the bicycle itself, just a map and a willingness to get lost. A swimmer cuts through the surface of a reservoir or lake, likely in the Peak District or Snowdonia. Children messing about on the water on a warm summer afternoon. This is what the national parks were for. Not to be looked at from a distance, to be used, to be got into and swum in and messed about on. The rock face. A climber works his way up a granite crag, rope trailing below him, boots finding holds in the rock. Two climbers on the face, the sky enormous behind them. Rock climbing in 1961 was still a minority pursuit, but a growing one. The equipment was basic by modern standards: hemp rope, leather boots, no helmets. But the routes were the same ones people still climb today. Horses on the moor, 3 riders picking their way up through bracken and heather towards a rocky summit, clouds rolling overhead. Then a single rider, alone, moving through ferns on a narrow track, the farmland visible in the valley far below. Dartmoor most likely, or Exmoor, the kind of landscape that looks ancient because it is, managed in roughly the same way for 1,000 years. A tent pitched beside a still lake, a dry stone wall in the foreground, a lone tree, the mountains reflected in the water, the campsite. 2 men wrestling with tent poles, a box of sugar puffs sitting in the middle of the camping equipment, bottles of milk, a portable stove. The gap between the brochure and the reality of a 1961 camping trip. The mountains stream, water rushing over dark rock, ferns and mosses growing in the spray. Two boys crouched over something in the grass, a portable radio between them. The countryside, but the modern world coming with them. The steam train pulls into a small station somewhere in Snowdonia, or a station on the Welsh Highland Railway, steam billowing across the platform. A guard helps passengers board. A small boy watches wide-eyed. These narrow-gauge railways were the way into the mountains for families without cars. And in 1961, most families still didn't have cars. The train was not a tourist attraction. It was the only way there. A stone quarry, dramatic and strange, the exposed rock face like a wound in the hillside. A reminder that even in the national parks, industry was never far away. Quarrying rights predated the parks, and the arguments about them had been going on since 1949. Two boys leaning on a 5-bar gate, pointing out across an enormous valley. Green fields, patchwork farms, a village in the distance, mountains beyond. This is the shot that says everything about what the national parks were supposed to be. Land that anyone could stand and look at. Land that nobody could fence off. Walkers passing an ancient standing stone on open moorland. The stone is taller than the people. It's been standing there for 4,000 years. A view from a castle tower, Harlech or Caernarfon in Wales, looking out over a vast caravan site, the estuary beyond, mountains in the distance. Even in 1961, the caravans have arrived. One of the most quietly radical things this country ever did. The idea was simple. That wild land, moorland, mountain, forest, coast, should be protected. Not just for the wealthy who could afford to own it, but for everyone. Open moorland, rolling hills, wildflowers in the foreground. Then, a red deer stag standing alone in a clearing, looking directly at the camera, motionless, unhurried, as if he knows the land is his. This is the Cairngorms, or the Lake District. The deer were here before the national parks. They'll be here long after. A thatched cottage in Devon or Somerset, roses around the door, a couple walking past. Two young women sitting on a grass bank outside a cottage, looking at something together. A map, perhaps. The village at the edge of the park. The pub at the end of the walk. The moment when the boots come off and the tea arrives. This too is part of it. A motorcycle combination blurs past on a country road. By 1961, 8 million people a year were visiting Britain's national parks. That number would double within a decade, then double again. The pressure on these places, the erosion, the traffic, the caravans, the compromises, would grow every year. But in this film, in this summer, it still looks like what it was supposed to be. Space, light, air, somewhere to go that isn't a factory or a terrace or a grey city street. The national parks weren't perfect. They never were. The land still had owners. The quarries were still blasting. The arguments were already starting. But for the family who arrived by train with a tent and a box of sugar puffs and pitched up beside a lake in Snowdonia, it was enough. It was everything. Subscribe to Archive Britain. Every week, more of Britain before it changed beyond recognition.